Yes, done, Rupini and Priya. Go ahead. Wrap the show.
Okay, so Jai Vasavi and a very, very pleasant evening to everybody who has gathered here and who are also watching us live in the AVCI FB channel. Today it's going to be an extremely wonderful time for us because we have a beautiful girl who's very bold by heart and in her physique, and the way that she's speaking is also so wonderful. She's here to share her life experience and she's going to share nice things for the youngsters for them to reach heights. So we usually wish the people, come on children, you will have to reach great heights. Now, today, our special guest is already there at Great Heights. So, I am Rupini Mohan, host of today's show and AVCI team admin. So, today we have a wonderful girl, Miss Priya Abiram. Hi, Priya. Hey, Priya, you there?
Hi, you cut out for a second. Yes, I just got back.
Okay, a warm and a pleasant evening to you, Priya.
Pleasant evening to you too. Well, it's actually morning here, so
Thank
good morning.
Okay, so what is the time exactly there?
It is 8:08 a.m.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And thank you very much for joining us today on this wonderful day. And I think it's like really early for you to start the day. Today we are here with lots of youngsters ready to have a conversation with you directly. So, are you ready, Priya? Shall we start?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having me here, and thank you so much for organizing this event and to all the young people that showed up today. It's a pleasure to be here and talk to all of you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Priya. So, we'll get started right away. Priya, if it is okay, just tell us about yourself.
Of course. So, hello everyone. My name is Priya Abiram. I go to Cornell University at New York. I am currently studying aerospace engineering. I am in my final year of my undergrad degree, and I will be pursuing my master's in aerospace engineering shortly after this. And a little bit about myself and my goals. One day, I hope to go to space. I want to be an astronaut. I want to go to Mars. I want to go to the moon. I want to discover new things and do something no one has ever done before. I also want to be an aerospace entrepreneur. And during my journey, I have interned at a few different aerospace companies here in the US, private and government sector, including NASA, Boeing, Blue Origin, Inversion Space, and I've worked as design and system engineering roles. I have also have bioastronautics research experience, so working with spacesuits. So that is the suit that astronauts wear when they go to space, doing different sort of extreme environment trainings. So I have been on top of a volcano for 2 weeks in isolation. I have been underwater for 24 hours consecutively as an advanced scuba diver and aquanaut. I am proficient in swimming, and I have been involved in numerous different extreme sport and emergency operation, astronaut training, and like just space operation simulations. I have done microgravity parabolic flights and operated different payloads in these flights. What that means is you have these different planes. So I worked with the Canadian National Canada Research Council. I'm actually from the US, so I'm currently in the US. My house is at New Jersey. I go to school in New York, and my family's here in the US. But I worked with the National Canadian Research Council in Canada, and used their parabolic flights, so their airplanes that they use to train the Canadian astronauts to float in microgravity, and while floating in microgravity, test and operate different experiments to look at and enable health and human medicine and improve astronaut performance in long-term space missions. So those are some of my experiences and my highlights. I also am a private pilot. I love to fly. It's one of my favorite hobbies. I have loved to take my family around, my friends around, flying. And yeah, so and I also served in the U.S. Air Force Auxiliary in the Civil Air Patrol as a cadet lieutenant colonel. And that journey also drastically shaped my leadership, character development, and the aerospace knowledge that I have today. So those are some of my experiences. I know all of you are joining from all different places. I want to say a couple things. One, please don't be scared. I am also a student. I sat in all the same seats that you guys are sitting in today. I saw all the things that you saw today. I wish that when I was growing up, I wish someone like me would have talked to me and instilled the confidence and believed in me. So please take the best use of this opportunity. I will be speaking in English, but if you have questions in Tamil, Telugu, whatever language of your convenience, Hindi, I am happy to understand and speak in your language. If you want me to slow down, if I'm talking too fast, if you don't understand what I'm saying or want me to repeat what I'm saying, feel free to use the raise hand feature. I want to make this as approachable and beneficial for all of you. Like I said, I wish when I was growing up, I had something like this. So I am happy to do this for all of you. And thank you so much. Yeah, and I'm happy to continue with the questions. That's a little bit about myself.
Awesome, Priya. It was
Yeah.
like really what a storm that has hit our ears with a list of things that you have informed about you. So already we see some hands are rising up. So children, if you have questions already prepared, you can start raising your hands and we will give you an unmute option. You can start asking questions to Priya. Okay. So let me first give you a unmute option. Can I introduce yourself? And then you can ask the question to her.
Hi, I'm Marav, Tamil Nadu, India, and I'm studying grade 5. Hi. Now the question is, what will be the difficulties you face while going to space and your opinion on overcoming them?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Many people say they want to go to space. Many people say, I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. But a lot of people don't know the risk and the process that entails. So let me take a step back and let me start by introducing the requirements. What do you need to be an astronaut? What do you need to go to space? One, to work with NASA, you need US citizenship or you need a green card, US permanent residency. So to all of you, you would be working with Israel. Whatever nation you are from, whatever country you have citizenship in, that is the country that you will go to space with from a government perspective. And every country has different set of requirements. The Europe Space Agency has their own requirements. NASA and the US has their requirements. The Canadian Space Agency has a slightly different set of requirements, but they all revolve around similar things. And talking about ISRO, ISRO just selected 3 Air Force pilots, I believe, to start training them to be an astronaut from India. So there are 3 Indian-born, Indian citizen, Indian resident pilots in the Indian Air Force that they selected, and they are training them. And ISRO is working really hard to send the first person from India to space. I know India does not have any astronauts yet, but hopefully in the next 5 years, by the time all of you are grown up and by the time all of you have your master's degrees, you will all have the opportunity to apply to ISRO's astronaut program. So let's talk about requirements. To be an astronaut with your government agency, you need a degree in a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, math. In NASA, you require minimum.
Priya, sorry to interrupt you in between. Can you be a little more slower so that children can also make notes what all is the requirements and they can start working on it?
Yes, of course. So I'll go a little slower. So to be an astronaut, you need you need a degree in a STEM field. So that means it does not mean, only IT or only medicine. You could do a degree in aerospace engineering. You could do a degree in plant biology. You could do a degree in like veterinary medicine, taking care of animals. You could do your degree in oceanography. A lot of astronauts, actually, there have been, I think, one or two NASA astronauts that studied the ocean and underwater habitats as their degree, and now are a NASA, so got selected to be a NASA astronaut. There was also a teacher that went to space. So does not mean that you need to be a scientist, engineer, doctor to go to space. You just need any sort of background in science, technology, engineering, mathematics to be eligible. In NASA, you need a minimum of a master's degree. So a bachelor's is not enough. After you finish your bachelor's, you need to do your master's to before you are even eligible to apply to go to space. In other countries, that might change. I don't know. Again, check the website for exact requirements. The other requirement is to
So
have
first,
experience.
so first, Priya, basically it can be any degree that comes under the STEM. So engineering
Yes,
or medicine, anything for that, technology, anything we can study, but we should do a master's degree.
that's only for NASA astronauts is the
Okay,
master's degree requirement. India does
okay,
not have an astronaut selection process yet. I
yeah.
don't know what India is going to say. India can say PhD, India can say
Mhm.
master's, India can say
Okay.
bachelor's. That's up to India.
So
US
this is
says
only for the NASA, which is connected with the US.
Yes, exactly. In
Awesome.
Canada, it might be different. In Europe, it might be different. India might be different. So again, it
Right.
changes country, your degree requirement. The second
Yes.
requirement, this is pretty standard across the world approximately. You need to have a lot of experience in whatever field you're in, and you need to be really good at what you're doing. Let me repeat. You need to be really good at what you're doing. Whatever field you pick, you can pick your field. It's up to you to pick your field. But once you pick your field, you need to be one of the best people that understand, and you need to be really accomplished, and you need to be recognized in whatever field you pick. And that goes to one thing that I like to tell a lot of students. Many people say, many people say, I'm studying computer science because that's what my dad told me to do. Or I am studying medicine and wanting to be a doctor because that's what my parents told me to do. Don't do something just because your parents told you to do that. You are pursuing the degree. Your parents are not pursuing your degree. Your parents are not going and writing the exam. You are writing the exam, and you will be facing the consequence of whatever degree you get. You are going to go into that job, and you are the person who is going to work in that job for the rest of your life, probably. So pick something that excites you, not something that excites your parents or something that your parents want you to do because they never got the opportunity to do. Only when someone is so passionate about something, when you wake up excited to go do what you want to do, will you be empowered to work hard and put in the work to become the best in your field. Let me repeat. So when I was growing up, I explored everything. I explored arts. I joined like little art origami classes. I did drawing, I did painting, I did swimming, I did skating. I did all sorts of sports. I did medicine. I did computer science. I did like random competitions, academic competitions. When I tell you everything, I did absolutely every field I tried before I decided aerospace is what is most exciting for me. And again, I got to choose. I was lucky enough that my parents allowed me to choose, but I got to choose that I could do aerospace. Growing up, my parents always said, I'm not going to tell you what decision you need to make. I'm not going to tell you what career you need to pursue. They never told me you need to be a doctor, you need to be an engineer, you need to do computer science. They said, do what you want, but be good at what you're doing. And that's how I was able to be here today. And that's how I encourage all of you to find your interest, explore your passion, because it's not just about going to space. Yes, it's an astronaut requirement to be good in whatever STEM field you choose. But in general, in life, if you want to do photography, if you want to do art, if you want to do film, you would be successful and recognized only if you're really good at what you're doing. But how can you be good at what you're doing? You need to work hard. How would you get the motivation to work hard? You got to love what you're doing, which is why I tell all students, don't do things just because your parents told you to do it. Do things because you are excited to put in the work. You are excited to not go to sleep. You are excited to skip a meal. You are excited to cry over rejections because you care so much and you are so passionate about what you want to do. Now I think there was something on the chat real quick. Okay, now let me go to the next requirement, the third requirement to be a NASA astronaut. Physical and mental health. This is where most people get rejected, or this is also the hardest one to accomplish. You need to, so when you go to space, so this answers the question that the student brought up. What happens when you go to space? What are the risks of going to space? We all know when Kalpana Chawla went to space, she didn't come back. When she took off, she went into orbit. One small tile, there was a failure in the re-entry because of the heat protection layer in the shuttle. And because of that, all 7 astronauts that went to space that day burnt up during the re-entry of Earth and did not make it back alive. Kalpana Chawla is one example that many of us know because we are Indian, but similarly, the first few people that tried to go to the moon in the American program, Ed White, etc., also passed away. People have died on Earth trying to go to space. People have died in space. People have died while coming back from space to Earth. Going to space is risky. There is no doubt about that. But when your passion becomes so deeply rooted, your passion overcomes that fear. And you realize that you want to do something bigger than yourself. You want to contribute to something bigger than yourself. And you want to contribute something for the advancement of science and technology. So laying down the risks of going to space. 1, your heart does not beat as fast as it does on Earth. Your cardiovascular health decreases in space compared to Earth because when you're in space, there's no gravity. You are floating. You get into a state called microgravity. So as soon your body, humans are born and raised and lived on Earth. The human body is made to survive on Earth. And so when you take a human body made to survive on Earth and put it in an environment where there's no gravity, a lot of things happens to the human body. So first thing is your cardiovascular health decreases. Second thing, your bone strength. The bones in your body, the strength of your bones, the calcium decreases from your bones, and your bones become less stronger when you are in space for a long time compared to when you are on Earth. The third thing that happens is fluid shift in your body. When you are in the ground, when you are in gravity, your heart is pumping blood, circulating, and the ground is pulling the blood down, and your body is pushing the blood up. That's how blood circulates across your body, because your heart is pumping blood, gravity is pulling it down, your body is pushing it up, and that way blood is circulating to all parts of your body. In space, there is no gravity. So your heart is pumping blood, but nothing is pulling the blood down. But your body is confused. Your body does not know how to circulate your blood. Your body does not know how to circulate your fluid. So your body is confused, and there are problems in fluid circulation, which results in changes in height, that results in changes in vision. So if I have a perfect 20/20 vision here on Earth, I can see without glasses. But a lot of astronauts, when they go to space, their vision gets blurred. Another thing that happens, a lot of people, they start to have nauseous sensations when you are in microgravity, also caused by fluid shift, caused by being in a different environments. There is situations of headache. So these are just some, very less. There's actually, if you are interested, space medicine is a really big field. Space medicine is a very needed field. There is a lot of things in the human body that we don't know how it works in space. The male body and female body is very different. The male metabolism rate and the female metabolism rate is very different. And more men have gone to space than women that have gone to space. So many women functions that typically happen in the body is not studied. Scientists don't know what happens when certain things happen or how certain aspects happen in the female body or even in the male body, in any human body. So space medicine is a really big and important field. There are specified specialists that work, specialized doctors that work to train astronauts, doctors that are required to check astronauts, doctors to train astronauts, doctors to take care of astronauts. It is a field with a lot of research. A couple other things that change in space versus Earth, for example, going back to male versus female body metabolism difference, NASA sends up people to space, and they had this one study where they sent a woman to a spacewalk and a man to a spacewalk. A spacewalk is when the person steps out of your capsule in your spacesuit and you are literally floating in space and you are trying to change the battery or build a space station, or you're fixing something outside on your space station or on a satellite or whatever mission you're doing outside in space. And when this is happening, what they've realized is over the course of 1 hour, women used a lot less oxygen compared to men to do the same task. So women needed much smaller amounts of oxygen compared to men to do the same task, because a male's metabolism rate is higher than a female's metabolism rate. Sending everything to space costs money. So if a woman takes up less oxygen than a man, then they need to spend less money sending up oxygen for a woman than a man. So technically, if you think about it in that sense, a woman is cheaper to go and do a spacewalk compared to a man. Yet we have so many men who have done spacewalks and so less women. So there's all these things that are being explored, being studied, and there are all these things that space does to our body. How do we mitigate this? How do we overcome this? By being extremely physically fit from a very young age. All of you are very young. Since a very young age, I was so grateful that my parents kept me very active in sports. I learned swimming when I was super small. I think when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I started my first swimming classes, and I fell in love with the water. I love everything water. I love swimming. I love scuba diving. I love jet skiing. Anything water. Water sports are my favorite. That's my favorite type of sport. I was always bad at skating. I was bad at other sports, but I was just so good at swimming, and swimming was my sport. But anyways, it is very important to find a sport that you love. It doesn't have to be swimming. It could be running. It could literally just be running around your house a couple blocks in the morning. It can be going to the gym. It can be anything you choose to do. It's very important to not only exercise, but also have a very good diet. Low sugar, low oil, low processed foods, high protein, high carbohydrates. Having a very fit body requires a very disciplined lifestyle and a very disciplined way of living. And only if you have that physical fitness will your body be able to survive the risks that space imposes on you. Space is trying to kill you, but if you are strong and if you are physically fit and if you are ready, then your body is magical and your body is ready to go and face that challenge and overcome it. Even in space, astronauts are required to exercise 3 hours every single day. I bet so many of us don't exercise for 3 hours here, but every single day they run on the treadmill, they do pull-ups, they do push-ups, they do all these exercises, and they have a lot of time to do exercise every single day because you don't want your heart to deteriorate once you come back to Earth. You don't want your body to degenerate in space and not be able to survive or not be able to walk or do daily functions that you do back on Earth. So before you go to space, NASA has a very extensive physical fitness test. You are required to run on the treadmill for 3 hours straight, and they test your cardiovascular endurance and your stamina. And they pick someone with if you have multiple applicants, they pick the person with higher stamina compared to a person with lower stamina. And by higher, lower stamina, I mean you got to run on that treadmill until your heart literally reaches a state of fatigue. You are required to play a lot of team sports. You are required to swim nonstop, like about 1.5 kilometers or whatever it is. You got to swim nonstop. And they see your ability to swim. And so there's the part about education, there's the part about resume, but there's all these parts about fitness, and they do a very extensive medical check. So they will take a blood test, they will take a skin test, they put all sorts of sensors, all places in your body, and they sense everything, they test everything. So there's this very extensive medical test to see, do you have history of any heart diseases? Do you have any permanent surgeries? Do you have any allergies? So they see all your body conditions to see how fit and how strong and how able you are to survive space. So by saying all of this, I want to spread awareness of the fact that when many people think of astronaut, they think of these really smart people, but not a lot of people think about what it takes to be that physically fit. And that's not something that you can change overnight. It's not something that you become 30 years old and all of a sudden you decide, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start, or this new year I'm going to start to lose X amount of kgs and become all fit. It's something that starts today. It's something that starts when you're 10 years old, when you're 15 years old, when you're 20 years old. Because right now, your body is able, your body is small, your body is changing really fast, and your body is able to reach that level 20 years later. So it's important to take care of your health right now, starting now, if you want to reach these sorts of goals and live a long, healthy life. And so, yeah, those are, and then I'll go into the last requirement. This is more of an optional requirement, but they say optional, but it's actually preferred, and it's something that they see in a lot of applicants. So this last requirement is your ability to act calmly under stressful situations. And they call that operational experience. What is operational experience? So like I said, I have experience going into the mountain for a week doing survival skills. I have experience being on top of a volcano for 2 weeks in isolation and climbing into holes in the volcano, climbing into lava flows in a spacesuit with rocks that are unstable, going inside caves and exploring caves that no human has ever seen before. So operational experience means experience in extreme environments. There are researchers in Antarctica that are training to go to space, because if you're able to survive an environment like Antarctica for 2 months, you'll probably be able to survive space. Antarctica is a hard place to live in. If you're able to be on top of a volcano for 3 months, if you're able to be in the woods for 3 months, if you're able to fly planes. So in the process of getting my pilot license, so let me take a step back. Anyone here can be a pilot. All of you can be a pilot. It is very easy to fly a plane, I tell you. It'll probably take all of us 10 hours, I can get in the cockpit, teach you guys how to fly a plane. Everyone can fly a plane. That's the easy part. The hard part that separates people that get their licenses from people that do not get their licenses is how do you react under an emergency situation? Aircraft emergencies are what we practice doing 90% of the time during my pilot training. Only 10% of it is learning how to fly a plane. And that learning how to fly a plane is so easy and all of us can do it. What would happen if there's a fire in the cockpit? How do you react? How do you save your passengers? What if your engine shuts off and your plane starts to literally fall out of the sky? What if you are over the ocean and your cabin starts to depressurize? You start to lose oxygen from your cabin. There's some sort of a leak. What would you do? How would you get people to survive with lower oxygen levels? So there are so many different emergency situations. How do you land on a runway that is very short, that is tilted on a diagonal with two bodies of water on both sides, literally on top of a mountain? I have landed in such runways before, runways that have the highest risk of crashes and accidents. And let me tell you, it was fun, but it was a little scary. And if you fail to recover the exact 1 second too late, or if you fail to pull up 1 second too late, it would cause problems. It would cause injuries, and you might not be able to fully recover out of whatever aircraft maneuver you're in. Your ability to think calmly under a life-threatening situation is what separates you from being a good pilot versus a bad pilot, and it's what allows you to then go on and go to space and become an astronaut and do things in environments that are trying to kill you. Because when you go to the moon, when you go to Mars, no one is there. You're in a planet, you're in space, you are away from everyone you know on Earth. You are alone, figuring something out, fighting for your life. One hole on your spacesuit, and within 5 seconds you're dead because there's a vacuum in space. So it is your job to try to figure out, under these stressful, painstaking, hard emergency situations, how do you react? Astronauts train for this for years and years. And the way you train for this and the way you build an instinct and an intuition for this is with survival skills. So any sort of field experience, any sort of extreme environment experience, and being someone who's able to be bold and be daring and be like, hey, that's not scary, that's fun. I find these things a lot of fun. I love the adrenaline rush. I love going somewhere, doing something that no one has done before me. Like, hey, I was the first person to do that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question and maybe a little more. And I hope that inspires a lot of you. I didn't mean to scare you. I wanted to lay out the facts of what you need to go to space as an astronaut with a government agency. Any other questions?
Oh my God, Priya, that's really a lot of answer. And I think that answered almost all the questions like people wanted to ask you. So children, I guess you have got a detailed description of how to get into NASA or what are the basic requirements that will be needed for you. So the first thing she spoke about the master's degree, and then she spoke about how you should have the passion. So don't be scared and stuff. And next, she said about the fitness, both physical and the mental fitness. And the last one, she spoke about you will start living in space that needs a lot of survival fitness, the mindset you should develop. In such a way. So she has got a lot of experience in surviving in the caves, surviving underwater, and things like that. So, awesome, Priya. This is really great of you. And people are like thinking like anybody can get into NASA, or we can do just as how you said, like it is easy to fly a plane, easy to become a pilot. But then still the chances of getting the license and not is really a big thing. So we're very happy to have you here, Priya, and so inspiring to hear you. So let me ask one question from my side. So you had all these you informed that nobody was there to guide you on how to become a NASA person, right? So how did you get into this NASA? First of all, what made you to get into NASA?
Yes, that's a great question. My first visit to NASA at a very young age, I was 7 years old. It was the NASA Kennedy Space, so it was the visitor center. We just went on a tour with my family. It's open to the public. Anyone can go. It's just a visitor complex. It's not the actual NASA. It's like a public park. And there were these huge rockets just around for, it's like when you go to it's like kind of similar to the Abdul Kalam Museum in Tamil Nadu. I don't know if many of you have visited, but NASA has something similar to that here, a similar museum. And so when we went to that museum, it was my first visit. I was walking around and I saw these huge machines that touched the sky. I was a very small girl, and I remember asking, what are these machines? And what are these things? So I remember being told these are rockets. They are the hardest thing man has ever built, and it is even harder to fly in them. And that day sparked an idea that I never lost track of. And later that day, I met an astronaut himself. They had like guest speakers, chief guests every once in a while in the museum. So, in one of the days when we went, there was a real NASA astronaut there, and he came in and he talked about his experience, and he talked about going to space and all of those things. And I remember seeing him and saying, if he can do it, I can too. And that was the first day that sparked an idea of one day I want to go to space. Since then, I was very young. Growing up, I tried all different things. I tried all different activities. I tried all sports. In eighth grade, I took a technology elective class, in eighth standard. In US, they say grade. In India, they say standard. So if I'm saying grade, I mean standard. In eighth standard, I took a technology elective, and in my technology elective, I remember I was one of 3 girls in a room of 45 students. So it was 45 students, I was one of 3 girls. And I remember walking in every single day, very scared, telling myself, I am the stupidest person here. I know absolutely nothing. They're all a bunch of boys. They obviously know so much better than me, and I'm never going to be as smart as them. And I remember telling myself this exact sentence every single day when I walked in. I was very shy. I never talked to anyone when I was younger. Um, and at the end of the year, my teacher put a competition of making these little projects. And he said, whoever has the best project, I will gift you a surprise little model rocket kit, like a little cardboard rocket with a tiny engine that you could just put together, build, glue together, and launch. And I remember saying, wow, that's really cool. I love rockets, but that's one prize out of all 45 people. And I remember looking around me and saying, I am definitely not going to win because I'm definitely not the smartest person in this room. But I still did the project. I still did the project and I gave it my best. I put in my full effort. And 3 days later, he announced the winners. And surprisingly, my project was selected. That was the first day I realized maybe I can do this. That was the first day my dream of one day going to space turned into a goal. That was the first day I looked around and said, wow, I got selected among all 45 of these people. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I'm anything less. And maybe, just maybe, I am smart. Maybe I can be smart. Maybe I can do this. That was the first time I kind of had this idea of maybe I can do rocket science, even if it's hard. And my parents are both in the IT field. They're both engineers. They're both in IT. They know absolutely nothing about aerospace, aviation, pilot, astronaut. They know zero things about this thing. So it's all very new to them. But my parents were very supportive of this idea. But I had to talk to so many people. I talked to literally every person that I met. I talked to people when I went to the store. I told my friends. I told my teachers. I told my parents. I told my doctor. I told my dentist. Every single person I met, I told them, I want to go to space one day. And a lot of people looked at me and they laughed. They thought I was just a little kid joking around with my silly little dreams. A lot of people looked at me and said, "No, you're probably not going to go to space." People looked at me and said, "Well, NASA selects 10 people out of 100,000 people that apply every year." And they told me all these things about how it's not possible, about how 95% of people fail, and about how I probably can't do it, and about how I'm a girl. And everyone kept saying, find a plan B, find an alternate option, go find something else to do. What if it doesn't work out? That was most of the responses I got to me telling everyone that I wanted to go to space. But that never stopped me from telling everyone that I wanted to go to space. I still told everyone that I wanted to go to space. And all it took was for me to find one person that knew how to navigate this field. So I remember going to the dentist one day, and I was telling my dentist while she was checking my teeth, I want to go to space, blah, blah, blah. And the dentist told me my daughter actually does aerospace engineering. She works at a major aerospace company. And that's when I found my first person. I got so excited. And that's when I found my first person that can show me the ropes to enter the industry. What do I need to do? What degree do I need to get? How do I need to study? What do I need to be good at? How do I get to space? Never would I have expected that going to the dentist to get my teeth checked would have resulted in me finding one of my first mentors to help me go to space and help me join the aerospace industry. The point of what I'm trying to make is when you have a goal, when you have a passion, whatever it is, and you don't have support or you don't have guidance about it, you need to start by believing in yourself. I will tell you right now that no one is going to believe in you as much as you believe in yourself. You are your own best self-advocate. You are your biggest supporter, and you are the only one that can change your future, no one else. And all it takes is for you to find one person that is in the field that you are doing, that you aspire to be in. Find one person that is in the field that you want to be in one day and go talk to them. And until you find that one person, try to search everywhere because you never know where you'll find support. You'll find rejection everywhere. You'll find failure everywhere. You will find knockdowns everywhere, but you can't let that stop you. I failed my first attempt at my written pilot exam. If I stopped when I failed, I would have never gotten my pilot license. I have done pretty poorly in a lot of different exams in school. I have had rockets that literally explode in front of my eyes, rockets that I spent 200 hours building, testing, developing, that explode on the launch pad because of one minor error in just 1 second. And seeing 200 hours of your work, time, and effort explode in 1 second really hurts. But we rebuild, we retest, we relaunch. And when we launch again, we won second place internationally in our rocket competition. So you can't let those initial no's, those initial doubts, and those initial failures stop you from, yeah.
Muting me too.
Sorry. Let me just finish this.
1 minute, Tejashri. Please wait. Yes, Priya, continue.
Let me just finish this, and then once I'm done, you guys can ask questions. You can't let your failure stop you from where you want to go. So going back to answering the question of how to get to NASA, not as an astronaut, NASA does not only have astronauts. NASA has scientists, NASA has engineers, NASA has fashion designers, NASA has embroidery people. How do you make a spacesuit? Spacesuit is of clothing. Someone has to stitch the spacesuit together, right? You need really good sewers, like people that sew, people that know how to use the sewing machine to put the fabric together, to stitch the spacesuit together. I met like people with the background in fashion design and in fashion come to NASA and influence the design of the spacesuit. So when I say you can literally pursue any degree and any passion and end up in the space industry, I really mean it. There are people who have done communications. There are people who have done business administration. There are people who have done fashion, engineering, that all come and work in the space industry, not just in NASA, but anywhere in the space industry. So what does it take to work for such a company? So for NASA specifically, you need, again, US citizenship. or U.S. permanent residency, green card. And without U.S. citizenship or permanent residency, you unfortunately cannot be in NASA. However, what I want to tell you guys is there is a rise of private aerospace company, Collins Aerospace. I think Pixar. There's this rocket company launching rockets out of Malaysia. I see so many startups and so many companies building rockets, building satellites, building space stations that is not related to Israel. Israel is not the only way you can enter the space industry. There's this organization called Space Kids India, SPACEKIDZ India, that are for students. It's students that build rockets and send satellites to space. Space Kids India teaches students how to build a satellite, how to build a rocket, and Space Kids India will try to send that to space. So there are so many organizations, there are so many nonprofits, and there are so many private industry companies and startups that are emerging in the Indian space economy that you guys should look at, you guys should learn about, you guys should consider. Israel is not the only entity. Israel is a government entity, but Israel is definitely not the only entity. Private space sector works much faster and makes creativity and innovation a lot faster than government entity. So what do you need to enter the sort of a space industry? You need a passion for space, most importantly. If you want to enter as an engineer, there's so many different types of engineers. There's electrical engineers, there's mechanical engineers, there's systems engineers, there's design engineers, there's integration test engineers, there are computer engineers, software engineers. There is so many. Everyone in India wants to do computer science and IT, but let me tell you, there is so much more than just CS and IT. There's so much more to engineering than just software. Find things that you enjoy, that you are excited to. If you don't want to come in as an engineer, there are other options. Like I said, medicine is very important. Soybeans, soya, you guys eat soya at home, you guys eat chana at home. Soya has a lot of protein. You probably eat soya with like chapati or roti, right? So that soya, to grow soya on Earth, soya actually grows 20% faster and 20% greater in quantity on the space station in space compared to Earth. Let me repeat, soya grows faster in space than it does on Earth, and soya grows in more abundance in space than it does on Earth. And I actually learned this in my NASA internship. My NASA internship was not engineering. I was not building rockets. I was looking at plants. I was looking at crops. I was looking at vegetables. All the things that we hate to eat that are so yucky, that's exactly what I was doing. I was looking at carrots. I was looking at beans. I was looking at beetroot. I was looking at soya. I was looking at how different fruits and, more importantly, how different vegetables, green vegetables, grow in space compared to how they grow on Earth, and how some plants grow faster under red light compared to the orange light from the sun. Some plants grow faster without gravity compared to with gravity. So when you think of all these things, it's like, wow, space just opened a whole new land, a whole new universe to grow crops, to grow plants, and to mine minerals. People talk about how there's not enough iron, there's not enough oil on Earth. They talk about shifting to renewable energy, shifting to solar and wind power because fossil fuels are depleting, oil is reducing, and burning so much into Earth's atmosphere is ruining our planet. There is so much iron, silicon. Silicon is what the chips that is used to power your computer right now. Silicon is the chips that is used to power the phones that you scroll through every day. Every electron appliance has silicon chips. And just last year, there was a really big silicon shortage, which resulted in all price of electronics to go up drastically. Mars and Moon is filled with silicon. There is so much of these minerals that is not present on Earth, present in space. If only someone could figure out how to go there, how to mine it, how to dig into it, how to get all these minerals, bring it back, or how to go there, how to grow all these plants much faster, much bigger, much better, how to grow these plants and bring it back. It would reduce food scarcity on Earth. There are so many people with less access to food here on Earth. There's a really big hunger problem in our countries today. So there are so many solutions that space brings to the problems on Earth. It's not just building rockets. It's not just going to space. You can do aerospace with a degree in fashion. You can do aerospace with a degree in nutrition or communication or business. People talk about real estate. Let's talk about real estate. Everyone wants to grow up and be rich. Everyone wants to make a lot of money. Everyone wants to own so much property. We buy property here on Earth, right? As an investment, we buy gold, we buy property, we buy houses, we buy land. What about the land on the moon? What about land on Mars? When we go and land on the moon, how are we going to split? This land belongs to India. This land belongs to America. This land belongs to France. Who's going to decide that? We don't know. We need lawyers. We need policymakers. We need people in law and policy to come and figure out, how do you make these regulations? How do you split up real estate? How do you buy land on Earth and the moon? Land on Mars is probably worth billions of dollars. That's a lot of money, a small piece of land. But no one can legally go and say, this land on Mars is mine. But if we are going to go and send colonies, we are going to go and send people to the moon, we are going to colonize the moon, we are going to settle on the moon. In 2026 or 27, NASA is going to send the first female astronaut and the first person of color to go to the moon to build a permanent stay, meaning they're going to the moon, they're going to build a house on the moon, and they're going to send more astronauts, they're going to build more houses on the moon, and soon enough, we're going to have a lot of houses on the moon, and people are going to start living on the moon. Maybe not the whole time, maybe for a year or two at a time, 1 or 2 years at a time. They're going to send astronauts to live on the moon for 1 or 2 years, come back, take a different set of astronauts, live on the moon, come back. People are going to start living on the moon, and then we're going to start using the moon as home base to then go to Mars. How cool is that? How mind-blowing and inspiring is that? So this is what the future of space presents. It's not just engineering. It's not just NASA. It's not just ISRO. There is so much more for everyone, for every background, whether that be law, communication, science, business, engineering, fashion. That's why even film. Who's going to record? There's so many photographers and media. NASA literally hires really good photographers and perfect lighting directors to capture all these launches and put it on social media and put it on YouTube and put it on Google and all these things. So there's so many avenues and ways you can be involved in the space industry that goes way beyond just engineering. So I hope that helped in terms of how to be involved in the space industry.
Yes, Priya, that was really an inspiring thing to know, that we have loads of other job opportunities, not just being a NASA scientist. So yes, Anna, you can unmute and speak. And we've also given you the, yes.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Ma'am.
Priya. Hello.
1 second Tejashree and 1 second Saraswati and Parvati. We'll just finish up with KSR Anna and then we'll give it to you. Yes, Anna.
Priya, first of all, God bless you.
Thank you so much, sir.
We are so much impressed, inspired with your speech
Thank you.
and the kind of hardships you have undergone, the kind of hardships someone has to undergone. You very clearly explained. You explained like an university professor.
Thank you.
Keep smiling like that throughout your life. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And in future also, Rupini may be in touch with you. Inspire Indian students like this.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me and organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me just
Rupini,
give you a small introduction of this Anna, and he is the founder of AVCI Community International, this Facebook page. So it's because of his efforts that we have reached around 1.5 lakhs people followers for our page. And we are doing all these Get Inspired programs and all the other programs only because of him. So he's Kesar Murthy here, and that's who you are speaking actually. Yes, Anna.
I'm done. I'm done. Thank you, Ma. God bless you, Priya.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we'll move on to Parvati. I see that you have raised the hand for a longer time. So you can unmute yourself.
Hi, ma'am. I
Hello.
am Parvati, currently in 8th grade. The question I want to ask you is, if you could launch a mission to anywhere in the solar system, where would you go and why?
Oh, that's such a good question. I want to go everywhere. I actually launched a satellite. Well, I didn't launch it yet. I helped build a satellite that will be launched to the International Space Station soon. Probably either. Uh, sorry, could you guys just unmute yourself so that, sorry, mute yourself so that there's no background noise. Thank you. I actually worked on building a satellite that will be launched to the space station soon to explore deep space in terms of light sail propulsion. It's a different type of propulsion. You can get into the details of that either on Google or on your own time. I'm not going to sit here and give you guys a science and propulsion lecture because we probably have other things to talk about, and I could talk about propulsion for ages and years. So I helped build a satellite to launch to the International Space Station, which was a very cool experience. In terms of anywhere that I could go to the solar system, my personal favorite planet is Mars. I think it has a lot of potential. It has a lot more things that we have yet to explore and a lot of potential for humans to survive if the conditions are created to be right. But outside of Mars, I want to say I would also launch a mission to so Saturn and Jupiter has a lot of moons. Saturn and Jupiter has about 70 to 80, 60 to 80 moons, and we keep discovering new moons every once in a while that are orbiting Saturn and Jupiter. Just like how Earth has one moon, Saturn has 60 to 80 moons, and Jupiter has 60 to 80 moons. In these 60 to 80 moons, there are certain moons called Titan, Titan, Europa, Europa, Io, Io. I'm giving you guys the spelling if you guys are interested in researching this later at your own time. There are certain moons that might have water. If a planet or a body has water, it could possibly have life or it could sustain life. It might have some sort of bacteria, some sort of bacterial life. It might have some sort of life outside our planet. So we don't know that yet. There's no confirmation. NASA is still working on sending probes to these moons and planets to explore, and we could possibly find aliens in the form of bacteria on these moons surviving in water. And even if we don't, then we just unlocked a really massive source of water that is outside our Earth, because out of the entire universe, the only planet known to sustain life and have water is Earth. Earth is our home. No matter how much we try to run away from Earth and expand Earth, Earth is always going to be our home. We need to protect our planet. We need to save energy. We need to save water, and we need to take care of our planet and not litter, because Earth is the only home that we have that humans cannot run away from. But if other planets have a source of water, that would be super exciting to probably find alien life or sustain human life or do all these things, because water is the most important thing to create life that humans know of. So I would say one of Saturn's or Jupiter's promising moons would be a cool place to do a mission to. Next question.
Yeah,
Priya,
thank you, Priya. Yes, ma'am.
again, I put here 1 minute. It's very proud moment. Like you have grown up on your own, but still you're from AVCI community, Jai Vasavi. Any projects of yours in future, if you require any sponsorship, irrespective of the budget, please reach Rupini. We will support you.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate that. I can talk to that to you off that offline. Thank you so
Okay.
much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you.
Hello.
Then how will you survive when you go to space?
How will I what survive when I go to space?
Yeah.
Is that the question? Oh, okay. I think I just answered that question before. It's the same answer that I had before, but I'll give you a quick rehash. How will you survive when you go to space? Well, when you go to space, you are going in a spacesuit. The spacesuit has oxygen, has carbon dioxide. Not sorry, it doesn't have carbon dioxide. It has oxygen, it has nitrogen, it has water. Okay, so that's the spacesuit that you wear. This is not this suit. This is a flight suit. This is just a flight suit. This is kind of like the uniform that NASA astronauts wear. This is not a spacesuit. A spacesuit has a full helmet, fully pressurized. It's those white things. When you search up NASA astronaut spacesuit on Google, you'll see what a spacesuit looks like. And that spacesuit has all the life support systems you need. It has a way to regulate temperature. It has a way to provide oxygen. It has all these different life support systems built within the spacesuit, and that's what helps humans survive in space. Apart from that, when you go inside the space station, you have oxygen, you have light, you have water, you have food, you have toilets, you have everything you need, essentially. There's no shower. That's a fun fact. There's no like bath. You can't take like a bath in space because everything is floating. So if you turn the sink on, the water's just going to float everywhere and it's going to be a mess. So you have to actually use like wipes, like baby wipes that you use to clean a baby. Like you use those sort of wet wipes to just wipe down your entire body and put it in a little bin and you store it away. And there's also a complicated way of using the toilet because the way a flush works in the toilet, in the Western toilet, the way a flush works, it's powered by gravity. When you flush the toilet, water is sucked down, and water is sucked down because gravity exists. When you go to space, there's no gravity. So there's actually a vacuum toilet system that you have to use, and it's a little more complicated to use the bathroom when you're in space, but you are able to use the bathroom. You are able to eat food. A lot of the food is dehydrated food, so it is all the water is sucked out of it to save weight, to reduce weight, because every kilogram that you're trying to send to space requires 50 kilograms of propellant to take it up. And propellant is expensive, and the heavier it is to send something to space, the more expensive it is to send something to space. So to cut money, you need to cut weight. To cut weight, they do crazy things to cut weight. And one of them being water is a really big source of weight. So they dehydrate all the food and then they send water separately. And then once you go to space, you rehydrate all the food. And that's how you eat some of your food. They have like pills and tablets that are filled with the vitamin and nutrients that you need. So there's a lot of accommodations. There's a lot of really cool things, I would say. I think it's very cool. And I think it's really surprising and amazing that humans are able to find and survive and create life in a place where life does not exist. And I think humans are very smart species for.
Thank you, Priya. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. And Swati, you can unmute and start. Swati,
Yeah, Priya,
yes.
flow. Yeah, it's
Hello.
echoing actually. Priya, it's wonderful actually and inspiring and NASA session. And your enthusiasm for the subject was contagious, and you explained everything in such a comprehensive and engaging way. I learned so much. Actually, my kids miss the session. They go for workout in the evenings. Actually, I would
I'm
share it
so
later.
happy they worked out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I want
Swati,
to
yes,
see.
let's get to your question, Swati. Yeah. She's
Yeah,
got
how do
very
you
less
balance your
minutes.
passion for space exploration with other aspects of your life, such as family and personal interests?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's very important to, I'll keep it quick because I think we're running short on time, so I'll keep my answers quick. It's a you need to have a supportive family. All astronauts have a very supportive family. You need to understand the aspects of, going to space, not being with your family, coming back, all of that. So family support is very important. Aspects of non-space that to balance. I think it's pretty easy to balance. It's just like having any other passion. When you love something so much, you figure out how to do it and you figure out a way to do all of it. And with modern medicine and modern technology, being able to have a family and being able to go to space is very possible. I know so many female astronauts that have 4 kids and they're still going to space. Like they have kids, they go to space, they come back, they go to space. I have seen astronauts literally exactly 1 week or 3 days after delivering their baby, they report at mission control the next Monday morning. It's crazy. It's crazy how the women are strong and powerful to do it, but it's very much possible. Again, medicine is very much there. And like I said, as long as you have a body that is physically fit and able, everything will be able to be figured out. Your physical fitness and support are the most important things.
Awesome, Priya. Yes, Vaishnavi, you can unmute and ask. Let's make things quicker.
Ma'am, how was your first experience when you entered the space and which celestial body did you saw?
I did not go to space. I have not been to space yet. Like I said, I'm a student at Cornell University. I am training to hopefully one day go to space. And the purpose of me being here today is to help inspire all of you. I hope to go to space one day. I would love to go to the moon. I would love to go to Mars. So I hope that answers that question.
It's not so easy to go to the space right away. We need a lot of things getting trained. So yes, we'll move to Hansuja.
Hi, ma'am. I've been wanting to be an astronaut since childhood. So, is it mandatory to become a pilot before being an astronaut?
That's an awesome question. No, it is not. You do not have to be a pilot before you become an astronaut. Pilot is one option and one route that you can take. Like I said, there are marine biologists, people that studied whales and dolphins and sharks. I think her name is Jessica. Well, actually, I don't want to say something wrong, but search up marine biologist NASA astronaut. There's a person who studied whales and dolphins and sharks, a woman actually, and got selected to go to NASA astronaut. If you go online and search up NASA, so this is something that I did, and if you want to be an astronaut too, so I'm going to tell you to do this too. I have a spreadsheet with all astronauts and what they did as their profession as my own database. And I kind of like to keep track and that helped me get an idea of what type of people are selected to go to space, and the people that are selected to go to space, what type of background experience and training they have. When you go to the NASA database, it doesn't have to be NASA astronaut. You can even go to the European ESA or look up the Indian astronauts that got selected. Go to the Canadian astronaut. Go international. Don't just stick to US. Go international so you get a broader picture of what the world is doing and where to go in the future. But if you go to government agency astronauts and see their backgrounds, learn about their backgrounds, see what they've done, you will quickly realize everyone has done something so completely different. And that is the beauty of it. There's no checkbox or list of things that you need to accomplish to go to space. Everyone has done something so different, yet they get selected to be able to go to space. So like I said, it doesn't matter what you do. What matters is you got to be really good at what you're doing and you got to be really fit. That's all that matters.
And
Thank you, Priya.
Thank you,
Yes, we see
Priya.
one other person raising hand. Okay, 1 second. Samsung
Um,
SM. I've given you an unmute option.
Ma'am, who
Okay,
was your
Chaitraka, yes.
NASA?
Yes, Tejashri.
Who was your inspiration to work in NASA?
I love that question. My inspiration is my mother. I always lean on my mom everywhere I go. She has been my biggest supporter. even though it isn't really necessarily in the aerospace department, my mom was the first person to graduate with an engineering degree, the first girl to graduate with an engineering degree in my entire extended family. And growing up, she had a lot of struggles and she faced a lot of negative comments from her uncles and her family growing up saying that, against her getting this degree. But she grew up, she graduated with an engineering degree. She worked in the automobile industry as a project manager for many, many, many years. She went internationally, she worked internationally, managing really big teams for really cool cars, testing really cool features. And she has been my biggest supporter and biggest inspiration coming from so many struggles. She was born in Kumbakonam, a small village in India, and she went and managed really huge projects in Germany and beyond. And she's my biggest supporter and inspiration and role model.
Ma'am, I want to talk with you, ma'am.
Yes, what's your question?
Ma'am, in recent days, scientists plant a seed in Mars, ma'am.
Tejashree, your voice is not, baby, your voice is not that clear. Can you check your network?
Ma'am, in recent scientists. Ma'am? Hello? Hello, ma'am?
Yes, dear. Proceed.
In recent days, scientists planted a seed in Mars and now it was grown as a plant. Did human can survive in Mars because plants release oxygen?
అమ్మ రూపిణి నేను మాట్లాడొచ్చా?
Hi, Priya. Sir, okay.
Uh,
Second, sir.
Many people are unmuting. Rupini ma'am, do you want to?
Yeah,
Let me
let's
know
go
what
just
to do
one by
first.
one. 1 second, Anna. So Tejashree wants to know that plant is already there in Mars. So plants are releasing oxygen. So is it okay to start surviving there? Correct, Tejashree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so humans cannot survive on Mars without a spacesuit. The Mars atmosphere is filled with methane and carbon dioxide. Just because you plant one plant does not mean that plant's oxygen is enough to convert the entire Mars atmosphere into oxygen. The current Mars atmosphere is filled with carbon dioxide and methane. Methane is extremely poisonous to the human body. What can be done is making controlled greenhouse environments, making controlled houses with oxygen infused tanks, oxygen tanks everywhere. And there is a technology called MOXIE, MOXIE. I put it in the chat. Go search it up and learn about it. I'm not going to get into the details right now because I could talk about it for years, but it's really cool. So search up MOXIE on Google and learn about it. But MOXIE can make Mars habitable.
Superb, superb. Thank you, Priya. Yes, Shaitraka? Shaitraka, you can unmute.
Hi, Priya. It's a very inspirational talk with you, ma. Thank you for helping all of us. And I want to ask you, did you face any difficulties in your journey, in this journey? And
So
how
many.
you come out of from that?
Yeah, so many, so many. There are many different types of difficulties. I have been the only girl to walk into a lot of rooms that I walked into, whether that be in my robotics journey, whether that be in my pilot journey. I have been the only girl in a really big like a big aerospace startup company. I have been the only girl in many rooms that I walked into, and it is learning how to advocate for myself, stand up for myself, and be able to support myself when absolutely no one else supports me or believes in me is probably the most useful life skill that I have learned from that experience of being in a room with 50 other men. And especially in my robotics journey, I joined as the only girl on my sub team. 4 years later, I became the president of the team, brought in 15 other girls into the team. So there were, or like X amount of other girls, I don't remember the exact number, but there were a lot of situations like that where I was told that I can't do something, where I was told that I can't make decisions, or my work was not recognized, etc., as prevalent to any person in any industry. Other sort of failures that I have faced is just plain point blank failures. I failed my first round of my pilot written test. I have launched 4 rockets, 2 of which exploded in front of my eyes after a full year of working on it. I have not succeeded in some of the attempts of my exams and stuff that I take. So yes, failures are a daily thing, I would say. I almost fail every single day. I fail every time I start something new. How do I overcome it? Like I said, my mom has been my biggest supporter in terms of overcoming failure. And more importantly, I would say mindset shift. Being able to take a step back. It's okay to cry after you fail. It's okay to be angry after you fail. It's okay to hate yourself after you fail. But once you're done with that, being able to step back, reflect, one, account and address your weaknesses, admit to yourself your own weaknesses, and come up with a plan of how to overcome that and how to fix that, and admit to yourself your strengths and what the possible solutions are. Just because one door closed or one opportunity is got rejected does not mean that's the end of the career, or that's the end of your potential. If one door closed, God has a bigger plan for you. God has something better for you. You just have to go out there and find it. If one door closes, go find another door. Go knock on every door until one door opens.
Awesome, Priya. That was truly the right one. Okay, we'll move on to Shyam Sundar.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
hi.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. So, I have a question. Currently, there are too many organizations are sending satellites and too many space shuttles to the space, right? So, what will happen to those? Any residues or waste? Like how it is being handled, or what happens if Indians residue it's to some other company's space shuttle, or what will happen to those areas? Yeah.
That's a great question, and that's actually something being very importantly discussed in fields. One thing I will say to all students, if you want to learn more about the space industry, not just through classes are one way, but I attend a lot of conferences. I attend a lot of conferences and events where industry professionals come in and talk about what are the problems that they're trying to solve. And everyone talks about space debris. And space debris can cause a lot of problems. It can cause a lot of damage to a lot of different systems. And the current solution is most debris is made of metal. So they're trying to think of some way to use some sort of magnetic field to attract the debris without that magnetic field affecting the communication ranges of satellites that are in orbit, because satellites are also made of metal, but debris is also made of metal. So it's actually a very complicated problem to solve, but it needs a solution fast. There are a lot of companies right now that are focused solely on producing on space debris. There's a lot of policies that are being enacted that, satellite needs to follow XYZ regulations and cannot expand more than this much amount of debris in this much amount of years. So there's actually laws and policies being put into place that's being enforced to reduce this debris, and there's solutions and companies trying to remove existing debris. So yeah, that's a great question.
Hello,
Right,
ma'am.
thank you. Yeah.
Hello.
We have last 2 questions. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Chat.
Yes, Kana, post your question. Ask your question.
How many NASA missions are currently active, ma'am?
That's such a good question. I don't want to tell you the wrong answer, so I'm not going to tell you a number, but I can tell you where to find the information. I'll put the link on the chat.
Okay, ma'am.
Next question while I search this one. Any other questions?
Amma,
Now
Rupini,
over
can
to you. Yes, Anna.
Priya, can you understand Tamil?
Yes, I can. I can understand and speak Tamil.
Okay. Amma, Rupni, I'll tell in Telugu, you translate her in Tamil.
Anna, she can speak all languages, Anna.
Telugu
Telugu,
also.
Tamil, Hindi.
Yes, I know Telugu
She's a
also,
Telugu.
yeah.
Yeah.
అమ్మా ప్రియ అసలు అమ్మా నాన్నలు పూజలు చేసుకుంటే నీలాంటి బంగారు తల్లులు పుడతారు ఇంట్లో. యు అండర్స్టూడ్ వాట్ ఐ హావ్ సెడ్?
Yes, yes, I did.
Rupni, try to translate it in Tamil or
No, she can understand, Anna.
we are feeling
Yes,
so
Priya, on any doubts, you just let us know. Continue.
Priya, we are really so excited. This group has formed many years ago. We have conducted so many live programs with big personalities all across the globe. This is one of the fantastic program. We all got inspired.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
And I don't know what to say, how to thank you for accepting our invitation. Heartfelt thanks to you for giving your time, educating our community people. God bless you. Rest all we'll speak offline.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It means a lot, and thank you for having me here. I did put a link on the chat for the previous student who asked, www.nasa.gov/missions. It has a list of all the active missions, and to give you the exact number, there are over 80 active missions currently. So take a look at the chat link and have fun looking at all the cool science that's going on. And sir, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm very happy to be here. I love doing these things. I love talking about space. I can talk about space for days and years. It's my passion, so I'm more than happy to do this.
Yes, Priya, we could see that in the way that you have delivered loads of information. We thought something, but the interview has come out really very well, and we're receiving lots of positive messages from our viewers also. So today the session was extremely informational and inspirational. I guess all the students over here, they would have got the basic idea of how to become a NASA person, or at least to get an idea of what they would like to do. And the very first point that you said, have the passion in whatever you do and be the expertise in whatever field you are. So those two is applicable to everyone, and really that's a great point. So there's few questions in the chat box. So hello ma'am, what have you studied? So what is your studies about?
Yes, so my study is, I currently do aerospace engineering at Cornell University. I do aerospace. So what I study, similar to mechanical in certain sense, building rockets, designing, testing, launching, working at different systems, looking at propulsion systems. Classes I'm taking this semester, I'm taking propulsion, I'm taking spacecraft systems architecture, I'm taking mechatronics, which is a combination of robotics and electronics. So those are some of the stuff that I am doing as a part of my aerospace engineering degree.
Awesome. Thank you, Priya. And the next question is about, does NASA has civil engineers?
Yeah, definitely. NASA takes every engineer, regardless of your background, as long as you can give them something. Civil engineers build buildings. Someone needs to build buildings on the moon and on Mars. So probably civil engineers and architects would be building buildings instead of Earth on Moon and Mars. And that has its own complications, its own material science. You need to discover the right materials that would work there. So yes, all types of engineers.
The way that you mentioned that we can build houses on moon, houses on Mars, it is like a fantasy, all right? And all these things we see into those films and cartoons. But when you speak in reality, it hits in a different way. Thanks, Priya, for sharing. And what is the correct age to decide the career? I think your career you had decided when you had met or you had visited the museum, right? So what exactly?
Yeah, I want to say there's no age, there's no correct age to decide a career. I don't like the idea that a career has to be something for the rest of your life. You just need to find something that excites you. And when you find something that excites you, that's the age that you find something that excites you. I want to go to space. I want to come back from space. I want to start my own business. I want to fly planes. I have a lot of things that I want to do. I want to be in the entrepreneurship space and the business space. I want to be in the engineering space. I want to be an astronaut. I don't have one thing that I want to do for the rest of my life, because I think doing one thing for your entire life is a little boring. I like to do a lot of different things. I like to do cool things. I like to change it up every so often. And I'm just excited for where my life will take me. And as long as you're passionate, excited, and willing to work hard, your career will all be figured out. You just need to figure out what you like. And there's no age to figure out, or there's no age you need to decide that. It's just a matter of when you realize, that day you realize you have found your spark and your interest.
Awesome, awesome, Priya. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We have Tulsi Akka. You would like to ask something?
Yeah, ma. If it's
Yeah,
okay, I
please.
will.
Yes, Ka.
Hi, ma. I'm Saraf Tulsi Gupta from Hyderabad. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you.
You are very cute and smart. You are talking very
you.
fluent English. We can't catch that English.
Sorry about that. I'll try to be slow, but there's time
No
crunch.
It's
problem.
okay.
We have
You
this
talked very
live,
inspiring.
Priya.
You talked
Yeah.
very inspiring words you told to the children. It's we thankful from AVCI. I am also an admin team from AVCI. Thank you very much, ma. Can I ask one question, ma?
Of course, yes, thank
What
you.
made to go to NASA side? Any incident or you have passion, or what made you go to this side?
Like I said, my first visit to NASA at the young age of 7, when I went to the Space Museum, inspired me to join the space industry. When did I join NASA specifically? I did an internship at NASA. Internship is like when you take a semester to work at a company. So the internship I got by just going to the website, it's called NASA OSTEM Interns, and NASA OSTEM. You guys can take a look at it. There's also this program actually called NASA I Squared. I put it on the chat, NASA I2. And it is a program that NASA just released for international students to be able to work with NASA. So students take a look at that on the chat. But yeah, NASA OSTEM was, I went on the website, I applied through their process, did a lot of different interviews, got a lot of different rejections, and then finally got an internship offer.
Okay, nice. Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Thank you very
Priya.
much, Mama.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Priya, for actually joining us today. And it was an awesome interview with you. We have gained loads of information and knowledge speaking with you. So, for the other people, if you have any questions, just put it in the chat box and she will give you the replies whenever she sees the question. Right, Priya? So, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for joining us today. It was highly inspirational. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rupini. This was awesome. It was great talking to all of you. I hope everyone got at least some little thing to take away from this, and I hope you all are inspired to pursue big dreams. I do have to leave soon. Sorry about that, but thank you so much for organizing this. This was very well organized, and allowing the students to themselves ask questions was really fun to answer and talk to. Thank you. I do have to leave soon.
Sure. Thank you, Priya. Thanks a lot, Priya. So with that, we'll wind up the session. And for all the other people, any questions you have the freedom to ask in our FB page. And we have Priya joining us in the FB page also, and she will give you the answers. And also in your Get Inspired WhatsApp group, you can post your questions and she'll be answering your questions on any doubts or anything. So thanks a lot for this beautiful and bold lady here, who has just made this 1.5 hours really an inspirational one. So thanks a lot, Priya. Thanks a lot for joining in, and thank you all the viewers and all the students who have joined today. And this is AVCI giving you Get Inspired programs now and then. So stay tuned for the upcoming programs also. Thank you, and we'll go on live now. Thank you. Thanks a lot.